And welcome back to Propped by the Bar. Well, actually, our budget's increased a little bit, so we're coming to you live from Las Vegas. Why are you dancing?
Haven't you heard? Dan's gone.
Dan's gone?
Dan's gone. It's a whole new world.
So, we're in Vegas?
We're in Vegas. And what? Mykonos.
Mykonos. Now
Mykonos.
we're in Mykonos. So,
You know why Mykonos? I heard Mark Casey's just built a hotel.
Yep.
He's told us mates rates.
Mates rates.
Mykonos.
And I think my feed's full of people in Positano, so let's cross over there.
Oh, it's plus nice. Very lovely.
Or we could just be in Chris's studio in Breakwater. So,
Or Johnny Helmer's bar.
yeah. So insert bar now. Anyway, well done on the new setup, Chris. So great setup here you have in Breakwater. So big few weeks since our last episode,
Wow.
and as we alluded, I think we'll call it dancing, alluded.
Dancing in the streets.
Dan's announced his retirement, or he's actually gone now.
So everybody will remember where they were when Dan resigned, but I was in the middle about to value a vet, right? And the news came through on the radio, and I didn't believe it first, and then a friend called, and then I was like, no, this can't really be happening, and you couldn't take the smile off my face. I started dancing in, and I walked into this vet, and I said to this girl, guess what? Dan's gone. And she said, who's Dan? It brought me right back to earth. But then on the way home, down Latrobe Terrace, lights flashing, people pumping the air. It was like the grand final had already been played.
Well, that's another contentious matter with Collingwood winning. But anyway, back with Dan, what do we think?
Speaking of Collingwood winning, you can
change?
just see a couple of them getting arrested now at the front. See the lights, the flashing lights.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a big week, but what do we think figuratively, a different premier is going to do for the state?
I honestly predict that we'll have a revolving door of premiers now. To be honest, I think that I think everybody would agree that the factional politics within the Labor Party will be very interesting over the next few months.
And do we think our legacy spend is at jeopardy now? We sort of...
Oh, you mean the fictional legacy spend?
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever see that. That was Dan's promise, and now he's not there, so now they can blame Dan.
Yeah, that's my point, I think.
Yeah. I'll be still watch and see, I reckon. Yeah. But today, old mate Tim Pallas didn't disappoint, kept to form, came out and put another land tax on property. No, gotta love it. Another land tax, So this time he's extending the land tax of vacant land away from just metropolitan areas to all the regional areas as well. So if you're sitting on a land bank parcel, you've been sitting there for any more than 5 years, you're going to get an increase in your land tax.
So on top of windfall tax?
On top of your windfall tax. On top of your stamp duty, on top of your capital gains, you're going to get an increase in your land tax as well because you haven't quite paid enough to be a developer.
Well, we've discussed this many times. Every time they impose a new tax, doesn't matter what it is, the end user ends up paying for it. So
we have a housing supply shortage, a housing crisis. And the only way to fix that crisis is to start getting developers and that sort of stuff getting stuff to market. Now, that's the intention of this tax. The intention of this tax is that you not just sit on land. They want that land sold
but
or developed.
Their policy at the moment is they're really trying to crank up migration. So I think they're allowing 700,000 people back in.
Yeah. I think it's nearly 1 million people now.
All right. So do the math. We've got a shortage of houses at the moment. They're trying to bring migration in to create further revenue. Where are these people going to live?
Because of the work. So it's all like we've got wages out of proportion and we haven't got labour. So we're saying we need overseas migration to fill that hole. But the reason we haven't got labour and we've got problems with labour is because they're all working on federal and state government projects. I mean, I was looking at a business in Geelong that services motorcycles, right? And they had all their mechanics walk out and leave and go and work in the tunnel. They're twice as much than they can pay them in Geelong. And now they're down to, only being able to service a very low volume of motorcycles. And there's a big waiting list now through Geelong to get anything serviced for farms, motorcycles, that sort of stuff from these people. So, and that's not just the only industry. It's across a broad range of industries where labour has been sucked up into these big projects on big dollars. And regionally, businesses are suffering, so we're bringing in migrants to fix that problem, but now we haven't got houses to put them in. It's all goes back to decisions, doesn't it?
Yeah, and on decisions, do you think there's opportunity now to perhaps re-look at the height limitations that were imposed?
I don't think this government is going to look at anything. They only can do one thing: tax.
Because
tax.
since that.
Hey, and I know how we fix it: tax. We'll fix it with tax.
Yeah, well, and I think we've got to get used to it. There's a real attack on business and,
Did you say
and
tax?
property owners. Yeah.
Tax, yeah.
All right,
Tax.
but since they brought the overlay in, the height overlay,
Which is another tax, really.
right, but developers are just telling me that things don't stack. So
Well, things don't stack. I mean,
when they've said we want 16,000 people to live in central Geelong by 2030,
where's it going to come from? When
when developers
your
aren't-
greenfield developers out in the areas of your Armstrong's Creeks and your Bellpost Hill and the Western Growth Corridor, North Growth Corridor, they're getting smacked around with taxes, right, and also bureaucracy of getting stuff out. So, for example, this new regional land tax, it's supposed to be for anything that's been land banked for more than 5 years. That's the idea of it. And the idea of that is to push developers to get this stuff to market and to develop them, right? That's ridiculous. The precinct structure plan for the Northern Growth Corridor of Geelong, I think, has taken about 15 years. And that's not been driven by the developers. The developers would have loved to have developed that 15 years ago. But it's been driven by the lack of funding to planning, the bureaucracy, the different departments not talking to each other. And that's the reason why these developments are held up. Developers don't sit on land.
no, they want to get in and get out.
They want to get in and get out.
Yeah.
It's a stupid idea. But yep, here we are. Another tax.
Well,
Tax.
we've today they've the new board, the new RBA board have met and they've held interest rates, but have warned of possible increases to come pre-Christmas.
I think it was smart to do both because we have seen a little bit of a spike in inflation in the last few days, and housing prices have recovered somewhat.
Yeah, recovered what they slid back. Yeah.
Except in regional Victoria. So they've recovered everywhere else in the country really, except in regional Victoria, which were at 0% recovery. But there's places like Hobart and other places that have seen, huge bouts of recovery. But most of the recovery has been led by the metro areas, and Melbourne, Sydney, and those metro areas have seen the biggest spikes of 3 and 4% over this year.
But regional was the biggest benefactor of
Regional
the
got the
COVID over that time.
I think the 5-year average is still 40% up.
Yeah.
So I think everybody's done pretty well. But the market itself.
And it was only a month ago that we sat at breakfast with Bill Evans, who said, I'm confident that there's no more interest rate rises.
I think that was on the back of the US inflation figures and the fact that our inflation figures jumped down, fell down so much that they thought that it was under control. But the really interesting statistics comes out from the banks around credit card and consumer spending, and that in the last month has been down a lot. So credit card spending is down a lot. So that might help. I think that what means is people aren't spending on TVs and that sort of stuff. Yeah. But they're saving to pay on their mortgages now. So which is why the houses haven't dropped. But at the same time, it means that there's not a lot left in the economy. Like there's not a big bulk of cash out there. People aren't sitting on big bulks of credit card limits and things like that at the moment. So. Yeah,
well, you've bashed every government agency possible, so why don't we move on to perhaps what's happening at a local level? So, hey, what are you seeing out there?
Listing levels are up across the board, right? And so about 12% across the Geelong region, which is good, and we want to see that increase. You expect as we come into spring, we start seeing that increase, and so far, I think that's mostly been matched with demand, you would say?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the residential market has certainly held its own. Yeah. Held its own. Pricing's held its own.
What I'd like to see is
days on market's probably increased.
Yeah. And what I'd like to see is we're actually starting to see some quality stock come through in the last month, which I think is going to start pushing that medium house price back up to where it should be. I think the medium house price has only come down because we haven't had the high-end stock on the market, but now it's coming back. I think that's going to be good. So I think residentially wise, we're pretty well placed. It's a pretty normal, I would say, flat market. I mean, I don't think anybody's buying any bargains at the moment. I don't think anybody's losing money when they sell. I think it's just a standard transactional marketplace, which is good because when things are moving. I think commercially we still haven't got enough stock.
Yeah.
Nowhere near enough stock for what's
A little bit more. There's more today than there was the previous probably 6 months.
It's certainly picked up. It's certainly
but
picked up.
not in huge numbers. But there's been some good sales, and there's a couple of good ones that have hit the market recently.
And so we can get first off the press.
Mm-hmm.
You sold 220 Pakington Street, which is a double-storey retail with 2 tenancies. Is that right? One,
yep.
2. And good little property. What did you get for it? Are you able to disclose it? If you're not, that's fine.
2.6.
2.6.
2.6.
Yeah, that's a pretty good rate, isn't it?
Private sale.
Yeah. Next to Bed Bath and Table on Pakington Street, so that's a really hot spot in the village.
Yeah, look, I think it's opposite the park there. But the complexities of the commercial market are a little bit different in terms of where we were 6-12 months ago. So generally that would have been an auction property, but.
So just on that, so auctions are an interesting time at the moment. 32 to 34 Moon Street was auctioned by Darcy Jum, which is industrial property, industrial sheds, on a decent little bit of land, 1,500 square metres of land. Yeah. And at the auction, no one bid.
Yeah, and sort of that's in normal circumstances where you've got developable land and it's industrial.
After the auction, 5 or 6 parties came to the agents and they did another auction just with
afterwards.
Those 5 or 6
and auctions have been on the same day. We had an auction that fell flat as well. So I think people are a little bit gun shy when it comes to auctions at the moment.
Yeah.
And commercial market's still really finding its feet. Like it was 12 months ago, we were selling industrial product for, somewhere in the mid 3%, which was insane.
Yeah.
And, people want 5-6% at the moment. So there's that.
There's still a disconnect.
There is
between
disconnect.
vendor and owners. Yeah. And there's quite a few sheds on the market at the moment. They're good big sheds, Gravel Pitch Road and O'Brien's Road and Crow. So there's a couple of big sheds on the market, which is good to see. That's a marketplace that's really been going hot. But another key property people would all know about, 77 Little Malp Street, which we all know as Beav's Bar, or the meat market on Thursday nights.
Are you allowed back in there?
I'm not sure, depending on this interview probably. Still probably have my face at the door. Yeah. But Beav's is on the market. Interesting, heritage property. I think it's underlet at the moment a little bit, but looking like it's going to go. I think they're talking around 5 million on the advertising, and from talking to the agents. But my opinion, that's a bit exy. What do you think?
Based on the yield, it is. If you were to work it out on vacant possession on land, that's one equation. Based on the income,
well, 5 million works out about 12,000 a square metre on land. I reckon that's pretty high up there. It'd be a great sale if we got it for Geelong, but it's a big number. So that's going to be really interesting because we haven't had anything along that street with that sort of frontage, with that sort of quality property come up.
Not for a long time.
No, and that could set the bar. I think this probably could set the bar for inner city retail for some time. It's a real cracker. So, good luck to Beav and everybody involved in that transaction, and I hope they get the best out of that. It's going to be really interesting. I'll be at that auction for sure. There's a couple of properties around the, starting to see some development properties starting to be advertised for some new out of the ground high-rise developments around CBD. We've got one that the Costa Group and Mona are doing at 61 to 71 Moorabool Street, where they got, I think it's about a 12-storey, apartment and with some retail on the ground floor. So that's interesting, and I think they're just going to marketing now. So that's one, and the other one is one by DM Projects in York Street, as well, coming out of the ground. So there's at least 2 good new apartment buildings coming up. We're starting to see some come up, but these are all ones that had permits prior to the new overlays. So they still don't represent, I don't think, what's in the current
real market's doing.
So that's an interesting times. That's going pretty good. The other last one I want to point out before we jump off this topic is a real property that I'm really interested in, 18 Broadbeach Road in Jan Juck. It's a cracking property. It's on the cliff top up there in Jan Juck. I'm not sure, but I think this is one of the ones that was owned by one of the directors of Quicksilver or something like that at the time. But this is a cracking property. I think they're asking 7.9 to 8.3 million. So I'll be interested to see that one go over the next few weeks as well.
Well, talking about some interesting properties, we have got an exclusive walkthrough and access into the new Holiday Inn hotel, which is the first, purpose-built,
Yeah,
large-scale facility. It's probably been built within Central Geelong within the last
it's a cracker.
20, 30, probably 30 years.
Yep.
So we've got Paul Franze, the owner-developer, to walk us through there. So why don't we jump straight into that?
Sounds good.
Okay, we're in the foyer of Geelong's newest hotel, probably the first purpose-built hotel in, I'd say, probably at least the last 20 years. And we're here with owner and developer Paul Franze, who's going to give us a bit of a tour around this magnificent facility.
Yeah, come through, guys. So at the moment we're in the entry foyer of the Holiday Inn Hotel and Suites. Just come through. As you see, we've got a fairly sort of open and light and sort of colourful foyer entry, and that's sort of part and parcel of the brand standards at the Holiday Inn and the sort of feeling that the Holiday Inn brand wants to evoke to its customers. Set of lifts here that sort of take us up to what would be the Sky Lobby, as they call it, which is essentially an all-day dining area. We can go up the stairs now and have a look at that, but all-day dining, cafe, bar, conferencing, meeting rooms, and generally an area that the hotel wants their guests to sort of come down from their rooms and sort of spend the afternoon, the morning, do some work, a few emails, have a drink, have a coffee, have something to eat, and generally sort of enjoy the facilities that it provides. We've also got a pool and a gym on that level also.
So pool, gym, commercial office area.
Yep.
There's
Conference areas.
Conferencing for
so it's
functions.
really got everything as a hotel. Like this
A bar
compares with
and a
what we get
restaurant?
in Burke Street, Melbourne. Yeah.
100%. I mean, it probably goes over and above. If you have a look at the brand standards from a Holiday Inn perspective, there's no requirement for a pool. We just felt that the pool, given that we're sort of down on the Bellarine, also we've got apartments that are sitting above the hotel that are targeted for more owner-occupiers that get access to the hotel facilities. So we just felt that combined with providing, I suppose,
including room service and whatnot?
Including room service. Essentially everything that the hotel provides or offers as a service, the apartment owners get access to. So they get access to room service, which they get on a fee-for-service basis, cleaning if they want cleaning or bed turns, whatever the hotel services offer, they're able to do that. They also get access to the gym and the pool in perpetuity as part of their ownership. So we just felt that offering not only for the residents, services for the residents, but also for the hotel users, I suppose it just gives them, we elevate the level of service that you ordinarily would get in a Holiday Inn.
How many hotel suites are we?
So there's 100, it's a hotel, 180 room hotel. So there's 157 standard hotel rooms, more traditional hotel rooms, and then 27 suites. And the suites are more of a sort of medium long-term stay.
Forget age, would that make it the largest hotel in Geelong CBD?
I think it is, yeah. I think it is. I think Novatel's got 120. I think Ridges are sort of circa 100. And I think the R is sort of around 120 odd too. So.
Well, it is to be celebrated. He's got his silk lapels on for you today.
Well, you know, I had to dress up because when you come to a nice building, you want to feel like, you know, you're adding something, right?
Well, it's a thorn between two roses.
Sometimes when you're standing next to Michael, you feel a little bit in the dim light, and I'm sick of being called his fat little friend.
Oh, fair enough.
So I've tried to, you know, make a slimmer line sick, but I'm still outshone by, look at that. Looks like something out of a magazine, Mike. Paul, congratulations. This is an amazing building, and more so, congratulations for getting it done. I think sometimes people see these buildings come out of the ground and they think, oh, there goes a big cashed up developer building it, you know, he'll be right, blah, blah. And I don't think people understand the story that you've gone through to get this out of the ground. Me and Mike have had the benefit of working in Geelong and watching you from the outside do it. And you know, in sometimes watching you do this build, you know, hand on heart hoping that you'd get it done, but also at the same time fearing you might never do it, because it's an amazing journey of someone who's just persisted through a lot to get to here, because building a hotel is so hard. Do you want to explain a little bit to our guests, to our viewers, how hard it is to get not just to build it, but to get the finance, to get the model right, to get a hotel in regional Victoria?
Yeah, sure.
And how long has the journey been?
Well, look, there's probably been enough press about it, but just going back, we first purchased the site back in late 2017 when it was the Trans Bus, Otway Trans Bus Terminal. So as we discussed earlier, so we saw the potential in Geelong, but also in the site specifically, because this whole arts centre precinct, the western section of the CBD, was slowly gentrifying. So we saw there was an opportunity here. So prior to the purchase, we had a due diligence period. We got a couple of extensive sort of market analysis reports complete through CBs and through Urbis, and we looked at the highest and best use analysis for the site. The initial permit that we obtained was for 190 room hotel. I think it was 20 odd apartments above the hotel, and then an 8,500 square metre office. So I suppose as that evolved, and then as I suppose the market moved, COVID eventually hit. So we were sort of stuck to an extent, both from a funding perspective, but also from a market acceptance point of view. So any of the tenants that we'd been talking to with respect to the office sort of either pulled back and or looked at other opportunities because we were still going to be a fair way off in terms of...
It was a hard time for office.
Yeah.
It was a lot of coming, a stock of new stuff with GMHB coming on the market at the very much similar time, and only a limited number of government agencies.
Yeah, the market is only so big, both from a government perspective and from a private point of view, and from a corporate perspective. So we quickly, I suppose, we were fairly nimble on our feet. It was a state government issue. We transitioned very quickly. A state government issued permit. We converted that building to what it is at the moment. So it's 109 apartments. Because as part of the work that we did, a lot of the inquiry that we got, people were after apartments, ranging from that sort of early $400,000
It was
range.
it was such a smart move.
Yeah.
Because we were looking at the number of, when you're advertising for those offices, thinking, oh God, I don't think he's going to get these off the ground. And then you transition into apartments very quickly, and I thought that was very smart. So hands off for that. But that would have been a big decision, and you're going through planning and everything to do that. Well, that cost. What, 300, 400 grand to do something like that?
Aside from the cost of redoing the plans and stuff, there was obviously a time cost associated with that. And then to get the project to that next level, we have to obviously achieve a certain hurdle rate in terms of sales.
$500,000 out there just not knowing if you're going to, that's still going to work, Like, these are the hurdles I think people need to understand.
And during COVID, when no one knew really what was going to happen.
Ultimately, COVID, I suppose, assisted us because there was such a big tree and sea change movement that regional push probably helped us from that perspective with regards to the pre-sales, but that still didn't get us over the line from a funding perspective. No. So we spent a bit of time with various funders. In the end, we went with a non-bank because the criteria that we would have had to have met with a normal bank were prohibitive, too onerous, and we weren't going to be able to get there. So fortunately...
And that wasn't just you, that was the marketplace.
That was across the board.
I mean,
funds were pulling back, the mainstream banks were pulling back. Obviously, COVID was unknown, no one knew how long it was going to last. Yeah. Fortunately for us, we had a very supportive builder. As I said to Michael earlier, we decided to sort of take the punt and invest several $1 million in digging a basement without having funding in place. So that was
nervous times.
Yeah, it was, but it actually, I suppose, gave us a bit of credibility. Not that I didn't have any credibility, probably in outside of Geelong, but in Geelong, a lot of people, there's unfortunately a lot of tall poppy syndrome. A lot of doomsdayers that thought this is another Melbourne developer that's going to come into town and sort of it's a fly by night. It's not going to happen.
In Geelong, we've seen so many promise to build hotels. We've seen so many people coming in. Here's a development site and here's my application for a hotel. But none of them have got built, and they don't get built because it's so hard to get the funding right.
Correct.
And you've got to put it out there. You've bought the building. I think you paid close to $8 million for that site. Then you've gone and paid, put up all that money for the planning, and it's out there. And there's no guarantee you're going to be successul. There's no guarantee
that
any of that's coming back.
By the time we got out of the ground, we'd probably invested close to $25 million without actually having finance.
That's unfunded. Yeah. $25 million out there with a hole in the ground.
So, so we were fortunate in that sense. I suppose I always had hold the view that fortune favours the brave, and I'm not one to give up when we had opportunities to sort of just cut our losses and walk away, but that's not my style, to be honest. So we wanted to see it through, and I actually believed in the vision that we had in terms of delivering a hotel, and obviously the numbers supported a new hotel. It was just obviously trying to get to that point.
But you didn't just bring a hotel, you brought one of the world's biggest brands. Geelong.
Second largest hotel operator in the world.
I think they own the Continental as well, and others, is that right?
So they own the brands Intercontinental, Holiday Inn Hotel and Suites, Holiday Inn Express, Crown Plaza, Voco, Indigo, Six Senses. So you've got some of the biggest brands, worldwide brands, recognisable brands in the world under their umbrella. As I said, there wasn't a shortage of other brands that wanted to come into Geelong. I think people recognise that there's a huge opportunity and growth, not only in the city of Geelong but in the broader Bellarine. There's 5 million visitors to Geelong annually. 2 million of those, or over 2 million of those, are overnight stays. So, and there's probably demand for more hotels. But as you mentioned earlier, they're extremely difficult to get off the ground from a funding perspective. And from my point of view, if we had to do another one, it'd have to be in a similar scenario where you've got an alternate use or a mixed use to sort of help reduce the equity component and have the ability to sort of fund out of it.
It was a really smart way of doing it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I love your story. Let's get on and see this.
Yeah, let's go upstairs.
We're actually open.
Yep, we were open last week.
We're open.
Yeah, we're open. So please make your way down to the Holiday Inn Hotel and Suites.
Your timing's great. September school holidays around the corner.
Holidays here, sun's shining. Hopefully,
same week's open as the new expansion of the Arts Centre as well.
So your timing is. So we sort of married in with that. So it's looking good in the lead up to summer. So
let's go.
Cheers.
Our show does start at a bar, so we thought we might start.
Hopefully we can end at the bar too, Mike, with any luck.
Definitely.
Talk to us about this area all the way through here.
So look, the architect, in conjunction with Holiday Inn and their designers, because the site is so large and we've got 2 facets to it, trying to activate the ground floor with this was a little bit problematic. Just because I wanted to try and maintain all these areas, all these service areas on one floor. So we chose to create sort of a point of arrival with the lobby, and then funnel everyone upstairs through to what we call the Sky Lobby. So this is a new concept that a lot of hotels are doing across the world. The bar's obviously the centre focal point of this level, and it's essentially trying to entice customers that are upstairs to come down, mingle with other guests, have an area where they can
come in off the street and have a drink.
It's open to the public. So
this is a fantastic spot for a drink. I'm definitely going to make this a Friday night.
So the view here was that we get people that are either going to a theatre or a show across the road at the Arts Precinct. So we're collaborating with those guys. Similarly with the Geelong Football Club, sort of 300 metres to our south. So come here for a steak and a beer, or a wine and a beer, or a pasta before a footy game, or anything that's on at Cardinia Park.
Yeah, what a great spot. We don't have enough bars like this in Geelong. This is fantastic.
So the colour palette is in line with, again, Holiday Inn, but also part of our vision in conjunction with trying to create a lot of light, a lot of windows, create a sort of airy sort of air, very open.
So on one side of this we've got the restaurant.
Yep, so we can come through. So this is a restaurant, Maestro. So this is an independent restaurant that we're collaborating with Adrian Richardson from La Luna in Carlton, Boubry Bar and Boss Bar in Brisbane. He's also on Channel 10 for those that watch Good Chef, Bad Chef. And it's essentially heavily focused on protein, so steak and local fresh produce. So we're trying to showcase a lot of local produce across the Bellarine.
How good is this?
So this is an 80 or a 90 pack restaurant. Open for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Show kitchen.
Yeah, so we've got a fairly large show kitchen here. That doubles up as a breakfast bar in the morning. We've got a dry aged meat fridge there in the corner, showcasing the meat that's on display.
How good's this? This is like the bar at the Dumb Calvin. That's like a full hat restaurant there. This is similar. It's cool.
And as I said, so if you have a look at the menu, we're showcasing seafood from mussels, scallops out of Port Arlington, a lot of other fresh seafood from other local suppliers, local wines from a lot of wineries along through the Bellarine, and again, same with the meat. So we're really trying to, I suppose, utilise such amazing produce that we've got locally and showcase it within the restaurant.
We've got the pasta. Michael only eats pasta.
Yeah, no, we've got a beautiful. Pretty sure it's a fettuccine or a linguine. Prawn pasta.
Linguine will be right down there.
We'll have to come back for lunch.
He's definitely linguine type of guy.
And then at the back, happy to show you the show kitchen. The working kitchen rather. Hello, how are you?
How are you?
So yeah, basically the back of house kitchen that
That's what all happens.
yeah, a lot of the grunt work that gets done through here. So so we can run 2 kitchens if we're running independent functions or corporate any sort of small weddings or whatever functions that we may have in the conference at the other side of the level 1.
So Paul, anybody can come in and order it?
Yeah, we're open to the public. It's obviously also services the hotel guests and any of the residents within the complex. But yeah, we're open to the public for breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Is it all week or is it Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
No, every day. Every day.
Yeah. So this restaurant opens 7 days a week. This would be one of the only restaurants to open early in the week, I'd reckon then. Because you can't get a booking anywhere on Tuesday night.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 7 days a week.
You try getting a booking anywhere on Tuesday night in Geelong?
Yeah, we think it's important to have it open every day, and then obviously not only we're servicing the hotel guests, but we're trying to service the broader community. I think it's something different that we bring into Geelong. So
Geelong's crying out for it, so it's fantastic.
And then we've got conference facilities on the other side of this bar?
Yeah, so as we make our way through here, so we've got an access point for the hotel, the apartment residences. So the Ryrie residences get access on this level through this set of doors. So that's accessible from 5:30 till 11 every day, and it gets shut down at night, obviously. Yep. And then as we go further across, we've got further banquet seating through here. AV room, another sort of breakout room that we sort of can double up as a kids room, and then conference space that we're able to hold sort of either small weddings or small corporate conferencing.
So a business could hire this for renting, for running conferences or any sort of function events?
So I think we can fit in an auditorium style 150 and then just over 100 from a
that's
in a corporate sense like this.
And there's a demand for that as well. That's
so
awesome.
they're able to, you can have 3 different rooms or 1 full room, so these rooms all open up with bifold doors. Similarly, these doors open up, so if you've got a larger function, they can sort of spill out into this area through here.
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, so it's a fairly sort of accessible, usable gym.
Got everything here.
Sort of enough equipment, but not too much. I mean, it's a little bit over and above what the brand standards call for, but we thought we probably needed a couple of bikes and a couple of extra equipment in here for not only the hotel guests but also the residences.
No, it's good, isn't it? So the pools, we'll go and then have a look, I suppose.
So the pool's about a metre shy of a sort of 25 metre lap pool. I think it's 23.8 or something like that. So we stress tested it with the kids a week or so ago, mate, so it definitely works. But yeah, look, as I said earlier in the chat, we felt that the pool sort of offered us a point of difference. If people want to come down for the weekend and they've got some young kids and stuff, or it gives them, or if people want to come and, corporate people want to come and they want to do some laps, gives everyone access to it.
So it's funny you say that, but we actually take the kids up to Melbourne to do that. Like to stay in a hotel room and throw over in the indoor pool. Middle of winter, it's a great way, Fantastic.
And I suppose the beauty about where we are, I mean, realistically, Queenscliff, Torquay, some of the best surf beaches in the world, we're only really 20 minutes away, so it's easy enough for you to come here, stay here, and go down there.
All the best wineries on the Bellarine.
Correct, and then come back and sort of be in the CBD, amongst it. So,
no, it's perfect.
So we're here on the 10th floor, Paul?
Yeah, 10th floor. This is one of the suites, one of the 23 suites that I mentioned earlier. So essentially...
Look at that, I can see the Youngs all the way around to Melbourne. Look at that.
I mean, everything from probably level 7 and above get a reasonably sort of solid view of the bay. So. This is level 10, so this is the top level, and then levels 11, 12, 13, 14, house the residential apartments.
And because of the height restrictions of the activity centre, that'll never get built out. It's pretty cool.
Paul, just to talk about one of our favourite topics, which has been the framework. We all marvel at what this the building looks like from every angle in the Geelong skyline. But under the current framework, could this be built to this height?
No, we wouldn't be able to build this, not at this height. I think the building next door, Rory Home, that's currently at 14 levels. That I think was reduced down to 8 or 9, similar height to what the cash converters is. And I think this site here would have been a couple of levels probably over that, maybe sort of 11, 10 to 12 sort of stories. So.
Do you think they've missed something in the framework plan that you can't get?
Well, I think so. I think for some reason it's sort of contradictory, if you ask me, in terms of what we've got a housing shortage. We've got unbelievable sort of migration push to get more people here, and Geelong's growing organically. But if they want to sort of maintain the number of inner city residents and try and maintain that, they're talking about 15,000 apartments to be built. I think we're sort of sub 3,000 at the moment. It's going to be difficult to do that, not only because you haven't got the access to the sites, but you haven't got access to the yields. I mean, the sites, it becomes cost prohibitive.
Well, you kill anything stacking up.
No, and that's exactly right.
So would you have been able to build this in the current framework plan?
No, definitely not.
No.
Both from a cost perspective, from a buildability point of view, just because construction costs are going up, exponentially, but also not being able to amortise the cost of the site across a larger number of apartments.
Because this is not a small site. This is basically 2 titles when you first bought it.
Yeah, just under 3,000 square metres.
It's a big site. This should have been if we can't build hotels on 3,000 square metre sites. This framework plan is going to be very interesting.
Well, this is exactly what we want to happen in Geelong.
Isn't this what we want?
But what they've created doesn't allow it.
I think it's unachievable to try and achieve or hit that 15,000 apartment target in the CBD of Geelong.
So it's not an apartment target. It's people living within the.
It's a townhouse target. Is what it is.
Call it residential target of whatever style or nature. Yeah. I think it's going to be difficult to achieve. A lot of the colour palette that you see within the room is in conjunction with. We're in consultation with architects and also IHG, so Holiday Inn, they've got their own internal designers and architects. So it's a process of going back and forth, interpreting what they call the brand standards, and obviously the Holiday Inn has got its own style and its own colour palette, and a lot of those colours evoke different feelings for the guests, so this is proven over a period of time.
The finishes are fantastic. Cool.
Yeah, so we tried to come up with something that's contemporary but also sort of met the criteria of the brand standards of what is Holiday Inn. So
brass fittings, USB plugs, it's
a couple of things that we've sort of up-spec'd within the room. So, from a hotel critique point of view, guests, and this is in no particular order, 3 things that they are critical on is the quality of the bed, quality of the internet, and the quality of the shower head. So they're 3 things that we took into account.
And you've got pillow options as well, I can see on there. You've got firm, soft.
I reckon this bed's not bad, Mike. You want to join me?
No thanks.
Yeah. So, along those 3 items, we up-spec the bed, we obviously up-spec the internet in terms of Wi-Fi, and then the shower heads also. So,
and again, these bathrooms are beautifully appointed. And
so the suites all come with a bath, sort of double showers, and sort of they're a bit more spacious.
Is that a Rocky tile?
They're a terrazzo.
Terrazzo. Oh, there we go.
And then the green is sort of pays homage to the colours of what Holiday Inn are and were in terms of when they first established.
The shower and the bath all in the same room like that. It's pretty cool. So cool. You proud?
Yeah, very much so. It's obviously, it's been a journey. It's been a journey. It's very rewarding to get to this point, but I suppose I try and be very humble. That's how I've been brought up, to be honest. So it's not something that I sort of go around and
you should
boast.
be proud.
I'm definitely proud. It's just
really
everyone that comes down is extremely excited and really appreciates the level of work that's gone in to get it to where it's got to today.
You've tackled a task that nobody's done in the last
not many people I know, and I respect that, and it is an extremely difficult process to get to this point. So.
If you think of the other previous interviews we've had, Mike, with Matthew Sung and James Morphy and other people that have built buildings in Geelong, they've all got the same, had the same,
Drive.
well, a similar story where they've had to get through massive amounts of barriers, you know, and from a funding point of view, from getting finance, from getting the model right, from dealing with councils and getting permits. They've all pushed, and at some point they all went out on a limb and showed huge amounts of balls and put it on the line to make it happen. And you've done it here, and you've done it in such a great style. So congratulations.
Thanks very much, mate.
Thanks for showing us.
Thanks for having me on.
No worries.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Cheers.
Yep. Well, how good is that?
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, and
It's good to have that and Quest. So
well,
that
Quest
also
has just
been
opened last week.
And we hope to get a tour very soon and be able to present it to our viewers. That'd be great.
Well, first look. So make sure you subscribe because our viewers get first look in some of these new developments around town. So anyway, thanks very much for Paul for...
Give a plug to Maestro Restaurant before we go.
Maestro?
That Maestro Restaurant up there, first level of Rory Quarter. That was absolutely awesome work through, and it's a I can't remember the name of the chef. It was on the last bit, but it's a beautiful restaurant.
Harry Maestro.
Harry Maestro. Harry Maestro. So, you know, honestly, I think that's going to be a great restaurant for Geelong too, and it's open all the time, 7 days a week.
7 days a week, breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Absolutely.
So fantastic. But anyway, thanks very much, Paul, for and congratulations on the job you've done there. And it's that time to wrap it up. So again, if you want to hear from us, hit subscribe. Otherwise, thanks, Chris, for the new digs. Where do we want to teleport now?
Let's go and have a drink at some bar in Las Vegas.
Let's go. Otherwise, we'll see you next month on Props, and thanks for tuning in.
And remember, if you've got any problems at all, tax. That's your only answer.